Have you ever felt like something's slipping away in your relationship but couldn't put your finger on what it was? It's like watching a shadow disappear slowly, fading away before your very eyes. You may not even realize it yet, but there are clues that she's already starting to let go. Clues that, if ignored, could be the end of what you once had. You see, relationships don't just end in a single moment. They fade over time. And it's in those quiet, subtle shifts that the truth lies. So, what are the signs that she's emotionally distancing herself? You might not notice them at first, but once you do, it could be the wake-up call you never wanted. The question is, can you spot them in time? By the end of this video, you'll recognize the 6 disappearing clues that signify she's emotionally letting go. These signs often go unnoticed because they're subtle, but once you're aware of them, you'll have the chance to address the situation before it's too late. Don't wait for the day when it's already over. Take action now to protect what you've built. If you don't see these signs, you could wake up one day and realize you've already lost her. Don't let that happen. Watch closely because time is running out. Clue 1. Lack of enthusiasm for your plans. Remember the times when making plans together was second nature? Whether it was a spontaneous date night, planning a weekend getaway, or even just grabbing a coffee at your favorite spot. She used to meet each suggestion with a spark of excitement. Now, when you bring up the idea of doing something together, her responses are vague, or sometimes there's no real response at all. The once bright enthusiasm has dulled, replaced by an indifference that's hard to ignore. This lack of enthusiasm is a key clue that she's beginning to emotionally withdraw. Shared plans and future moments together are central to any relationship, reflecting mutual excitement and commitment. When she no longer lights up at the thought of spending time together or seems to care less about shared experiences, it's not just a casual mood shift. It's a signal of emotional distance. Her lack of interest suggests that those once cherished plans no longer hold the same value, and this detachment can mark the start of her letting go emotionally. Philosophical insight. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, emphasized the power of intention and the need to stay grounded in our connections. True commitment to a relationship is shown by a continued desire to build a future together, one step at a time. When she starts to disengage from shared plans, it signals that her intentions have shifted. She may have already reconsidered the direction of your relationship, creating an invisible wall of detachment. Every time she doesn't respond to your plans with excitement, it's like a piece of the connection you once had is quietly being chipped away. It's subtle, but over time, the silence becomes louder than words. Are you watching closely enough to see what's slipping away? Clue 2. Decrease in physical affection. There was a time when her touch felt constant and natural, with spontaneous hugs, kisses, and hand-holding making up the fabric of your relationship. Now that warmth has faded. When you reach for her hand, she pulls away, or when you try to embrace her, she stiffens or responds with a half-hearted gesture. The small, loving touches that used to feel effortless have become infrequent or even absent. It's as though a quiet wall has been put up where there once was closeness. A decrease in physical affection is one of the most telling signs of emotional withdrawal. Physical intimacy, whether a simple touch, a lingering hug, or even small gestures like sitting close together, is an outward expression of emotional connection. When that physical bond fades, it usually signals that the emotional closeness has begun to dissolve as well. She may not realize it, but her lack of physical affection is a powerful indicator of her inner detachment. Philosophical insight. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, emphasized emotional resilience and the importance of observing changes without immediate reaction. Stoicism encourages us to accept and understand shifts in our surroundings rather than ignore them. While it's natural for relationships to evolve, a significant drop in physical closeness is rarely just a phase. Physical withdrawal often mirrors an internal struggle or distance she feels emotionally, one that may need understanding, patience, and dialogue to bridge. When her touch becomes scarce, it's not just about the absence of intimacy, it's a sign of something deeper slipping away. Each time she pulls back, it's like another piece of her is quietly withdrawing, as if a door is slowly closing. And if you're not careful one day, that door might be locked for good. Clue 3. She becomes more self-centered. In the past, she would ask about your day, listen to your thoughts, and genuinely care about what was happening in your life. Conversations felt balanced, and there was an unspoken understanding that your lives were intertwined. Now, that balance has faded. She steers every conversation back to herself, focusing only on her needs, her emotions, and her desires. When you try to share something personal, her attention wanes, and the moment passes without the warmth you once felt. This shift towards self-centeredness often signals an underlying emotional withdrawal. When someone begins to emotionally detach, they may start focusing inward, prioritizing their own world over the shared connection that once defined the relationship. Her growing self-focus suggests a loss of investment in the relationship's mutual give and take, a sign that she's pulling away emotionally. It's as if she's placing emotional distance by centering her world around herself, leaving you on the outskirts. Philosophical insight. Stoic philosophy values balance and respect within relationships. In the words of Seneca, mutual respect and empathy should be foundational as they foster true companionship. When the dynamic shifts and one person's focus turns inward to the detriment of the relationship, it disrupts this equilibrium. Her self-centeredness reflects a lack of regard for the shared bond you once had, as though she's choosing to protect her own emotional world instead of keeping that connection alive. When someone's world becomes all about them, it's not just a shift in conversation, it's a sign that they're no longer seeking your presence in their life. Instead, they're starting to build their own life apart from you, a slow but steady separation that leaves you wondering if there's room for you in her world anymore. Clue 4. Avoidance of emotional conversations. When you try to open up about the relationship or express concerns, she immediately shuts down. Meaningful talks that once brought you closer now seem like an uncomfortable chore for her. She brushes off deep discussions, quickly changes the subject, or gives short, dismissive responses. Over time, her reluctance to engage in these conversations becomes painfully obvious, leaving you to feel like you're talking to a wall. This avoidance of emotional conversations is a defense mechanism and a sign of emotional withdrawal. She may not be ready to confront the truth about the relationship, or she may already feel detached enough that addressing it seems pointless. By steering clear of deeper discussions, she avoids the vulnerability that comes with being truly open and honest. This is a clear indication that she's emotionally disconnecting, creating a barrier that makes genuine intimacy difficult, if not impossible. Philosophical insight. Stoic philosophy encourages facing reality with courage and practicing honest, open communication. The Stoics believed that avoiding discomfort only delays inevitable challenges and prevents growth. Her resistance to talk about the relationship's issues reflects a reluctance to face the truth, either because it's too painful or because she's already decided to disengage. True connection requires both people to face challenges head-on, and her unwillingness to do so signals that she's choosing distance over resolution. Each time she sidesteps these conversations, it's not just a refusal to talk, it's a sign that something deeper is being hidden. You're left wondering if she already knows something you don't, if she's seen a future without you, and this avoidance is her way of protecting herself from an inevitable goodbye. Clue 5. A shift in priorities. Where once her weekends and free time were spent with you, now she seems to be everywhere else. She's dedicating more time to friends, work projects, and personal hobbies, often leaving you as an afterthought. Shared plans are no longer a given, and you find yourself on the periphery, wondering if her priorities have permanently shifted away from the relationship. When someone's priorities change, it can be a powerful indicator of emotional distance. If she's investing more of her energy into other areas of her life, it suggests that the relationship may no longer hold the same value for her. This is a subtle but profound clue that she's gradually pulling away, refocusing on her personal interests and distancing herself from the bond you once shared. It's as if she's creating a life that you're not part of, little by little. Philosophical insight. Stoic philosophy teaches the importance of balance and being mindful of where we invest our focus. The Stoics emphasized that when something no longer serves our growth, we must acknowledge it and make adjustments accordingly. Her shift in priorities is a reflection of her evolving values, and unfortunately, it may signal that the relationship no longer aligns with her inner direction. It's a difficult reality to face, but it's often the first sign that her heart has moved on. When you're no longer her priority, it's a clear signal that she's already envisioning a life without you in it. Each moment spent elsewhere and every missed opportunity to connect is a piece of the emotional connection that's quietly slipping away. Clue 6. Decreased effort to resolve conflicts. In the past, even the smallest arguments would prompt her to talk things through, find a middle ground, or work together to resolve tensions. Now, when disagreements arise, she's quick to shrug them off or withdraw altogether. Her responses feel disengaged. She might let things go unresolved, leave the conversation abruptly, or avoid the topic entirely. What once sparked thoughtful discussion now fades into silence. This shift reflects a deeper emotional disengagement. When someone stops investing effort in resolving conflicts, it's often because they no longer see the point. Conflict resolution requires care and a belief in the relationship's potential to grow through challenges. When she stops defending her perspective or simply lets conflict slide without trying to mend the rift, it's a sign she may have already checked out emotionally. Without the desire to repair what's broken, the foundation of the relationship begins to crumble. Philosophical insight. The Stoics emphasized accepting what's outside our control, yet they also taught us to take responsibility for what we can influence. In relationships, conflict resolution is a mutual responsibility, a bridge that both parties must cross together. When she abandons this, it signals a shift in her priorities and a withdrawal from the emotional commitment necessary to maintain the bond. Her indifference toward conflict reveals a quiet acceptance of the relationship's decline. When she no longer fights to fix the problems, it's as if she's silently giving up on you. With every unresolved issue, it's a quiet goodbye, a farewell she may never put into words, but is saying all the same. As we conclude, let's revisit the 6 clues that signal a growing emotional distance: a lack of enthusiasm for shared plans, a decrease in physical affection, an increase in self-centeredness, avoidance of deep conversations, a shift in priorities, and finally, the reduced effort to resolve conflicts. Each of these signs may seem small on its own, but together they paint a picture of a relationship quietly unraveling. These clues can be subtle, easy to dismiss, but recognizing them can make all the difference in saving a connection that's worth fighting for. Philosophical insight. Stoic wisdom reminds us that while we can't control others' feelings or actions, we can control how we respond to what we see. Facing the reality of a relationship, even when it's painful, is essential. Ignoring these signs won't make the problems go away. Only through honest reflection and open communication can we address them. Change, whether gradual or abrupt, is a natural part of all relationships. But when we recognize these shifts early, we're given a choice to take proactive steps or let things slip further out of reach. Now is the time to reflect on your own relationships. Are any of these clues present? Ask yourself whether you're noticing the subtle signs of emotional distance, and consider having a conversation with your partner if you are. Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts or experiences. Your insight might help someone else in a similar situation. Don't forget to subscribe for more content on relationships and personal growth, and take that first step toward understanding before the walls grow too high. Final thought: relationships aren't just about sharing the good times, they're about recognizing when things start to slip and taking action to keep the bond strong. The greatest sign of love is not just in the moments of joy, but in the moments of uncertainty, when you choose to reach out, to communicate, and to hold on before everything fades away.